Hey guys, Dr. Morse, injury experts. So we just watched Russell Wilson actually look pretty good. Aaron Rodgers, regardless of who he was able to pull in this week, still couldn't pull it off. There were some potentially big injuries today and a couple guys that got lucky and returned to the game, including Tony Pollard from a possible concussion. Now, there gets to a point in the season where it gets kind of ridiculous how many injuries there are. And usually it's not by week 7, but I think we're there. I already had about 75 players on my list coming into today, and I'm about to add about 17 more. Crazy, but it is, here we go. Before we cover them specifically, do me a favor and check out this advertisement.
Looking to up your game in sports betting? Meet OddsJam, your ultimate ally in the world of data-driven wagering. With over 260 sportsbooks under its belt, OddsJam is the go-to platform for savvy bettors. Here's how it works. OddsJam's arbitrage tool scans the market in real time, spotting differences in betting lines across various sportsbooks. This means you can lock in risk-free bets by betting on both sides of the market. But that's not all. OddsJam also provides a positive EV calculator to optimize your bets and a handy bet tracker to optimize your profits. By using OddsJam, you're not just betting smarter, you're betting responsibly for long-term profitability. And here's the kicker. They offer a 7-day free trial. Ready to give it a shot? Use the code MORSE, M-O-R-S-E, for a 35% discount on your first month. Secure your bets with confidence. Make informed decisions with OddsJam.
All right, if that's something that you're interested in, do me a favor and check it out. Okay, so starting off with quarterbacks, then running backs, then wide receivers, and tight ends. So Jayden Daniels suffered a rib injury, most likely a rib cartilage injury, hopefully not a fracture. Usually rib bruises, the guys come back, so the fact that he was out kind of tells me it's not a rib bruise. You know, obliques are over there. Sometimes they can play a role. Let's hope it's not an oblique. If it's a rib cartilage, it could keep him out a week. If it's a rib fracture, they're usually closer to 3, sometimes 4 weeks. So let's hope it's not a rib fracture and it's just a rib cartilage, which still really hurts, but he would be able to return in a week or so. Someone who's not going to be returning this season is Deshaun Watson. He is of the ilk who has had bilateral ACL tears in the past. He obviously had his fair share of issues, and some may call this karma, but we will see a combination of quarterbacks take over. We initially saw DTR, but he left with a finger injury on his throwing hand. And then slinging Jameis Winston came in, and I didn't see the game, but I saw that he threw a touchdown. So we'll have to see who plays out. We did see Marcus Mariota take over for Jayden Daniels. Actually looked pretty good, so that was kind of interesting. Joe Flacco did not play today. Probably should have, but he didn't. We saw Anthony Richardson struggle again. He had more rushing attempts than completions. 14 versus 10, but they managed to pull the game off. Probably says more to Miami than it does to Indianapolis. Speaking of Miami, Tyler Huntley suffered a right throwing shoulder injury, and Tim Boyle replaced him. We will probably see Tua come back next week, and the state of backup quarterbacks is beyond awful, especially here in Miami. But we hopefully we'll get to see Tua because, Tyreek Hill and, Jalen Waddle are welcoming him with, just open arms. Alec Ingold had more receiving yards than both of them two combined. Yeah. Spencer Rattler suffered a left hip flexor, probably injury on, Thursday night. Kind of an ugly game. But there's a chance we see Hayner play next week if Derek Carr is not able to go. Let's transition over to running backs. David Montgomery tweaked his knee. Likely a mild MCL sprain. Could be just a generalized kind of hyperextension or just something tweaked. He had several people around him, landed hard on it. Thankfully, he came back into the game, which tells you that this is a mild injury, and maybe they get an MRI on it just to make sure it's nothing serious. He didn't do a whole lot after. I think he might have fumbled, but in general, he didn't hit his over prop, and he didn't hit his touchdown, which he usually hits every week. But nonetheless, he got lucky, and he could potentially come back and play next week without any significant ramifications. Jahmyr Gibbs looked incredible and had a monster game as a result. Antonio Gibson left the game briefly for the Patriots this morning in rainy London, but he came back. We don't know what it was. I didn't hear what it was. Stevenson looked... He was on the field, but he didn't look very good. Brandon Aiyuk, the biggest injury of the weekend, probably, potentially suffered a significant right knee injury. Options can range from an MCL sprain with a bad bone bruise, which would be a gift, to a torn ACL. Yes, that's possible. MCL, ACL, and the meniscus, which we call the unhappy triad, which is possible. It was a significant hyperextension where you have kind of the knee doing a lot of this. And I did a separate video if you want to check it out. Another big name wide receiver that got injured today, DK Metcalf, also a knee injury, but it didn't look overly concerning. He landed, I did a video on this too, landed kind of really hard on the outside of his knee, so it kind of tweaked the inside, maybe a bone bruise. The game, I think, was out of hand, and he had already had a great day, and it was pretty close to being over, so I think they just held him out. But let's hope it's nothing. Deebo Samuel came into the game illness and didn't finish the game. Same for DeMario Douglas. Came into the game under the weather and did not do well, so kind of derailed our day. Juju Smith-Schuster unfortunately strained or likely re-injured the same hamstring as he had earlier in the week, which is always the concern. And as a result, was done for the day. They couldn't get Kelsey started. I'm pretty sure Mahomes had more interceptions than touchdowns, but somehow they just keep winning. It's like voodoo magic. We saw Jalen Polk likely suffer a concussion. I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but he's really struggling to start the season. Really struggling. And the last two guys that I could tell, Curtis Samuel suffered a shoulder injury that ended up keeping him out the rest of the game. It was a cool play where Keon Coleman actually had to tell Amari Cooper which route to run, and then Cooper ended up catching his first touchdown. Kind of a cool play. And then Calvin Ridley tweaked his ankle, I believe it was, something early in the game. And he never, he played, but he didn't really do anything. So that's what I got for you. A lot of guys are ready. And I'll fill you in later in the week. There's two big games tomorrow. We'll fill you in some individual stuff on Tuesday. Let me know if you like this type of content. Give me some comments in the bottom. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. Check out the Injury Experts website. We had a good Sunday evening for the game, but today's was a little rough. A lot of solid guys just did not perform well today. But overall, hopefully it was a good week for you in fantasy and for your regular team that you cheer for. We will see you next Sunday night. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.